about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show, 1-877-Dr. 1-877-DOCDALI. So I saw this little baby electric vehicle. Did you guys see this? It's a little baby pint-sized electric vehicle. I think it's called the Eli Zero microcar. They're supposed to be little tiny EVs that give you that kind of motorcycle feel in terms of getting in and out of stuff, but they're a vehicle. They're not supposed to be super fast. I think they are in the low speed vehicle category. And in Europe, they're called quadricycles. Now, it's called the Eli Zero. It's a compact. It has dimensions 88.6 inches in length, 54.3 inches in width. Somebody says that's less than the length is less than the width of a Hummer, and 64.4 inches in height. It rides on, I guess, R13 tires with alloy rims. The wheelbase measures 63 inches. This is being reported by Fox News. The track width, 45.67 inches. I hear inches. It sounds small to me. How many people could fit in it? 2. It offers 5.65 cubic feet of trunk space. Despite its tiny size, they say it packs a pretty big punch. It has an 8 kilowatt per hour battery pack, can go 60 miles on a single charge. And with 3.2 kilowatts, 1.21 gigawatts, 3.2 kilowatts onboard charger, you can top it up in under 3 hours at a 240 volt station. Really? 3 hours of charging for 60 miles. Now, I don't know why they said 60 miles. The top speed is 25 miles per hour. This does not go 60 miles per hour. Sorry if it read that way. 25 miles per hour. But it has all the amenities of a regular car, air conditioning, keyless remote, and you can even add a Sony entertainment system. They say it is shorter than an EV Hummer's width. You can park 4 in one parallel spot. Now, Eli's CEO and founder Marcus Lee tells Cyber Guy that he sees this as a game changer in urban mobility. They say it's about transforming urban trips and significantly improving city life by making transportation easier, cleaner, and more efficient. They say they prioritize safety with features like 4 hydraulic electric-powered assisted disc brakes, and other stuff. And I'm not here to do a commercial for this. I am, just kind of I'm a little shocked that that's where we're going. How much is it, by the way? $11,990, I think, is the starting price. $11,990, so about $12,000. I think you could reserve one for $200. The deliveries are slated for third quarter 2024. And the U.S. version is going to upgrade to make federal safety regulations so that it could be street legal. And so you could use it like a regular car. Now, you know how we see mopeds and we see other vehicles on the road, but they'll drive like either near the pedestrian or bike lane or something like that because they can't be in the regular lane. At 25 miles an hour, I see these things could have an issue. But for around the city, it's interesting. It's an interesting concept. And I think they might actually go somewhere with this. And usually I'm pretty critical of the EV market because it's so damn expensive. And it's not very practical for people who live in apartments who don't have access to chargers. Those of us with a garage or a carport that can pay the money to add the electrical charging system, that's, no wonder there are some affluent individuals buying electric vehicles. But for those individuals like I used to for years live in an apartment where I had to find parking on the street somewhere, how do you charge a vehicle? And I don't think people are going to like driving up to a charging station and waiting. Chargers are going to have to be fast. If you can't charge overnight, I don't really see long-term you doing it because people don't feel safe. Now, people don't want to get carjacked. They don't want to get robbed. And now you're a sitting duck. We're going to have to eventually make charging stations little entertainment places where you could do Wi-Fi, where you could eat, see a movie, get your hair done. They might eventually have to have these things where you charge and you get other things done. But the average person, if they're in a hurry, they're not going to want to wait 20 minutes. And so, having a smaller vehicle, again, you still have to figure out how to charge it. No one's going to want to wait around 3 hours. They're going to want to charge it overnight. For those people that want a vehicle and want something cheaper, or they live in a city that is starting to mandate these types of things so they can't get, finding an affordable, smaller version to just do the job where, look, you get where you need to go. There might be a market for it. I am nervous, though, about the lithium batteries and the accidents and the fires. I have, when Chevy Volt and other cars had issues of spontaneous fires and combustion, that does make me nervous. And when we see more of these, we'll probably get a little bit more updated data on car fires. Right now, the data says it's still more fuel cars, car for car. Fuel cars are more likely to still have car fires. But with electric vehicles and their speed and their batteries, and the difficulty in extinguishing them, these are no relief on the environment. If we have to use tens of thousands of gallons of water per every car fire, that's going to be a problem. So my vote, slow and steady. Nobody mandate nothing. Offer things. See how people like them. Right now, apparently when you're in Buffalo or northern Montana, northern Minnesota, kind of hard to get your electric vehicle charged in the cold and up and running, even though fuel cars as well. So maybe not as much enthusiasm for all parts of the country with this. But it is interesting to see something this tiny. I'm not really ready to say it's safe, and I'm not convinced that is the way to go. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
Hey guys, it's Dr. Daliah. Fantasy football season is coming, but sadly, too many of you are taking the bench while the country takes part in one of the most exciting and lucrative industries out there. Don't know how to play? Well, huddle up and listen. Paul Kalikas and I have written a fantasy football pocket guide for beginners. This book walks you through the basics and shows you how simple and lucrative joining or creating a fantasy football team can be. Read our Fantasy Football Pocket Guide for Beginners found on Amazon, or follow the links on X and Facebook. That's Fantasy Football Pocket Guides for Beginners. Don't be left out.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to TotalWellness.com. Supplements made for physicians, only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Dan, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, on X, Dr. Daliah, Dr. Daliah Show, on Facebook, and on YouTube. Click like and subscribe. So, we spoke about the military draft and how right now, no plans for there being a draft. Last draft was Vietnam. I think the last person drafted was June 30th, 1973. Vietnam War had ended a couple years later. So we are not anticipating a military draft, but we are having multiple discussions and some possible changes because recruitment is down. At a major, I think we are at the lowest since 1940. In terms of individuals, and mind you, our population has increased. Recruitment is down. We have multiple issues worldwide going on, Middle East, Ukraine-Russia war, defending Taiwan against China. And so the military is a little concerned. And so there has been some discussions about women joining the draft, being included in the draft. And, women have been in roles in the military in multiple other countries, as we see in Israel, and can do a very, very good job. They might not all do combat roles. They might do patrol. They might do intelligence. They might do desk work. And some might be on the front line. But America needs people who are willing, able. We fired willing and able individuals over the stupid COVID vaccine mandate. That was ridiculous. But our military needs help. Does not mean we're going to be drafting women. It doesn't mean we're going to be drafting individuals. But if we are seeing that we're struggling from a recruitment standpoint, yes, the draft has been discussed. And one change that has been made by the, not necessarily a change, but one possible change that has already passed the U.S. House is a mandatory enrollment, an automatic enrollment, as opposed to you mandatorily being told to enroll the selected service and some people not. So that's not changing. Anybody 18 to 26 is supposed to enroll in the selected service. It's just the U.S. House of Representatives said, why don't we just automatically enroll them? Because they might not tell us their names. And, if you've been in this country for over 30 days, you're a citizen. Once you turn 18, you need to be submitting that. Well, a question that always seems to come up is, what about medical disqualifications? I'm not going to get drafted because I got flat feet. I have irritable bowel syndrome. Well, there are medical conditions that could disqualify you. Military.com does a really nice piece on this, and I have hyperlinked it to my article on the military draft. For those of you interested, it's on Twitter and Facebook. The Army standards of fitness generally apply to all branches of the military, not only Army, but all the other branches. These conditions might not necessarily permanently disqualify you. You might still need to provide a role in the military. Isn't it amazing how now the conversation is, how do I not get into the military? Versus back in World War II, people were just dying to, they were lying about their age because and think about it. They had a surplus of women. They could have been safe. But they wanted to. They wanted to be out there and defend their country. Pretty admirable. Now, one of the most common questions is, how do I get disqualified? And, be careful with this. Military.com says, reminder that if you do not get an official waiver or your condition later is discovered that you lied, you can be dishonorably discharged or fraudulent enlistment. So keep in mind, make sure it's documented. So from an abdominal issue, GI system, if you have ulcerations of the esophagus, dysmotility, chronic or recurrent esophagitis, that could disqualify you from military service. If you have gastritis, an ulcer, a congenital abnormality, if you have inflammatory bowel disease, if you have duodenal diverticula with symptoms or sequelae, so if you've ever had a hemorrhage or perforation or recurrent diverticulitis, that could disqualify you. If you have malabsorption issues with your intestine, GI bleed, issues with your liver, pancreas, if you have chronic Gallbladder disease or acute gallbladder disease, which could be fixed with surgery, but chronic gallbladder disease, that could be an issue. Cirrhosis, chronic liver disease, viral hepatitis within the preceding 6 months or persistence of symptoms after 6 months. That could disqualify you. Pancreatitis. If you have an anal fissure that persists, an anal fissure or a fistula, if you have a rectal polyp, prolapse, incontinence, if you have hemorrhoids. Now, a lot of people have hemorrhoids. Interestingly, that hemorrhoids can disqualify you. If your spleen's enlarged, if you have a hernia, if you have history of abdominal surgery preceding 60 days, other issues where you have had to have artificial openings like a colostomy, that could disqualify you. If you have anemia, acquired, aplastic, unspecified, that has not been able to be corrected permanently. If you have a bleeding disorder, if you are immunodeficient, if you have HIV, you could be disqualified. Dental issues could disqualify you. If you have diseases of the jaw like TMJ, myofascial pain dysfunction that's not easily corrected, malocclusion of your jaw, lack healthy teeth, or you don't have a proper prosthesis. If your dental implant systems have not been osseointegrated or completed properly, or your orthodontic appliances continue to detach. Now, you could have a retainer, but other orthodontic equipment needs to be in place and not going to interfere. Ear issues, Meniere's disease, where you have vertigo, chronic ear infections, a perforation of the tympanic membrane within 120 days. If you blew your eardrum out, that could disqualify you. Mastoiditis, infection of the bone around the ear. If you have hearing loss, depending on your level of hearing loss, that could affect you. If you have adrenal dysfunction, diabetes of any type still disqualifies you. People ask, does diabetes disqualify you? Now, I heard you could still have a role, but right now, according to military.com, for active duty or draft, diabetes could disqualify you. Glucosuria, which is sugar in the urine. How they used to test that is they could taste the urine for sweet. Luckily, we don't do that anymore. But if you have gout, parathyroid issues, thyroid issues, low thyroid that's not controlled by medication, hyperthyroid, goiter, parathyroid issues, nutritional deficiencies, cystic fibrosis, porphyria, amyloidosis, those are things that could give you disqualify you. Upper extremity, lower extremity issues with your joints. If you have ankylosis or inability to move a joint, fingers, hands, severe carpal tunnel, these are things that might disqualify you. Issues with your hip flexion, feet, legs. And so certain arthritis. If you have eye issues, inflamed eyes, chronic eye issues, chronic dry eyes, itchy eyes, uveitis, detachment, lens issues. Those are things that could disqualify you. Night blindness. And I'm not reading every single one, but visual acuity. If you don't have glasses or you cannot correct them and you are 20/70 in one eye or 20/30 in one eye, but 20/100 in another, those are things that could disqualify you. Astigmatism, but it has to be a severe one. Color vision issues could possibly. They said contact lenses could possibly disqualify you. Genitalia or pelvic issues like amenorrhea, difficulty with your periods, not having your periods, endometriosis, menopause, ovarian cysts, pelvic inflammatory disease. If you're pregnant, you could get out of the draft. Abnormal pap smears could get you out of the draft. For men, issues with your testicles, issues with penis lesions, prostatitis, hydroceles. If you have urine issues, skull issues, neck issues, heart issues, of course, tons of cardiac issues could possibly disqualify you. Vascular issues like history of blood clots, and then height. Apparently, if men are under 60 inches in height or over 80 inches, that could disqualify you. Women under 58 inches or over 80 inches. So that's interesting. And then weight. Sometimes weight could be used to disqualify you. Certain body builds. So military.com talks a lot about, and then of course asthma and other lung diseases and sinus diseases and things like that, neurological disorders. So there's a lot more included in the list, but there are many conditions that possibly could provide a waiver. Just don't lie, don't get a doctor, don't pay for it. 1-877-DOC, and hopefully you do want to serve your country. But as I said, no draft plan. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOCDALI.
Did you know that healthy arteries make a gas? Yes, actually 3 known gases. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch, and nitric oxide is a gas that's readily made all day long to keep our arteries open by relaxing the blood vessel walls. By doing this, our circulation is increased, bringing blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every part of your body. Both age and poor diet can lead to a loss of this precious gas, and in turn, blood pressure can go up, energy can go down, and you can get tingling in your hands and feet. Well, our product, Ultimate Nitric Oxide, can easily help fix this lack of nitric oxide. Go to TotalWellness.com. That's TotalWellness.com, where we are helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOCDALI. So one of our listeners asked, can you use Wegovy, Ozempic, Mounjaro, Zepbound in kids? For diabetes, the FDA has approved GLP agonists from Novo Nordisk, which is your Wegovy, and Saxenda, for adolescents 12 years or older. And so in terms of pediatrics being treated with these medications for diabetes, it's 12 years old and older. I don't believe that you are able to use them younger. For weight loss only, no, not yet. And there has been a lot of requests for parents saying, I can't get my kid to stop eating. Let me give them the shot. My kid needs to lose weight. And we've spoken about childhood obesity, where we base it on their percentile compared to other kids. 95th percentile, we need to intervene. Even, I'd say even before then, with the U.S. Preventative Services Task Force recommending 26 hours of therapy throughout the year. I think we need to do a little bit more, but they, suggest diet, exercise. They are not recommending weight loss drugs. But, when a child is obese, we always have to figure out the why. Is it genetics? There's a lot of genetics that could lower metabolism, prevent them from, being slender, Prader-Willi, hypothyroid, Cushing's. So they need to be medically evaluated, and their pediatrician or an endocrinologist should do that. We also have to look at what's happening with the parents. If the parents are eating frozen food for dinner, there's soda pop, there's snacks frequently accessible in the house and not healthy food options, that's an issue. And a weight loss drug won't fix that. We need to fix the parents in terms of their education and nutritional status of the home. That is why I don't think food stamps should go to junk food. And when we have seen studies showing food stamps are going to junk food, and we have a huge obesity crisis in many neighborhoods that do rely on food stamps, I think we need to be giving the kids directly vegetables, the lean meat, the food that is healthy. Junk food should not be sold in schools. Healthy snacks should be sold in schools for snacks or given for free as snacks. And then, of course, our exercise issue with kids. Exercise should be different. If you have a child who cannot run a mile in a certain period of time, or cannot play basketball, or cannot do certain things, there should be, how you have a remediation with academics in school? you should have a remediation for sports where those kids are not thrown in with the jocks of the class and not picked and just left in outfield sitting by themselves. You take those kids and you do specialized workouts every day that help get them into shape. I think we should have remediation for physical fitness and activity. Kids should be able to do a pull-up. They should be able to do a push-up. They should be able to walk a mile. They should be able to jog a mile. Those are things kids should be able to do. I don't know if you ever saw that video from the 1960s of these kids doing their physical fitness I think it was a middle school in the 1960s. You almost thought it was a military recruitment video, but it wasn't. It was just a high school and they were showing what they were doing for physical fitness. And you're like, whoa, my kid can't stand that long, let alone, do that type of activity. Those are things, not my kids. My kids are pretty active, but still. So those are things that need to be addressed. So we have weight loss drugs. They're very expensive. Ads are getting people to call up asking for the drug. They are fantastic in reducing food noise. They will not cure obesity by any means. If you eat like crap, if you don't exercise, if you don't keep your muscle up, you can't afford the medication, you can't stay on the medication because of side effects, you will gain your weight back. And there is a big push that the government dime pays for these drugs. The arguments to have the government pay for these weight loss drugs, which cost anywhere from $900 to $1,000, $1,600 a month, is that if we eliminate obesity, we could eliminate heart disease or reduce heart disease, reduce diabetes, reduce the need for dialysis, arthritis, surgery, other healthcare costs. They're not wrong. That statement, if we reduce obesity, we will be able to save on other healthcare costs, is 1,000% correct. Where we have to, really define reducing obesity is permanently, not temporarily. In Denmark, health officials are rethinking the whole covering the weight loss drug because they say it's going to cost $800,000 per patient to prevent one heart attack. That's a lot of money. If we're looking at the cheapest $12,000 a year, and we're trying to eliminate obesity and keep people on these for 30 years, we're looking 40 years. It's a lot of money. And so there's been a lot of debate on, is it worth it? So I would say it's worth it if it's permanent. The weight loss is not permanent. I'd say it's worth it if there's no side effects. There are side effects. Pancreatitis, gallbladder disease, GI issues. People are calling up saying they are constipated like no other. Well, because, again, the medicine slows down your bowels to increase satiety. When you have a lack of access, trust me, everybody and their mom wants to be skinny. We don't have enough of the medication out there. We have to increase supply. We have to increase supply now. We don't even have enough for our diabetics. And then who pays for this? Fortunately, the only good news, the only saving grace is there was a study saying that technically these companies can make this for 75 cents a dose or $5 a month, less than $5 a month. Why is Zepbound $1,600 a month? I don't know. It's kind of a lot of money and the prices aren't going down. Bernie Sanders wants to have a Senate hearing for there to be some transparency from these pharmaceutical companies. But right now, these drugs are pretty damn expensive. And insurance companies are saying, I'm not going to cover it. Not going to cover it. Our premiums have skyrocketed because they've been covering it for people who want it. So, yeah, the average person's like, well, then I want it too. There's skinny people getting it. I'm being told that there's skinny people getting it just so they don't gain an extra 5 pounds for the summer. Are you kidding me? We need this medication for our diabetics. That's what the medication is for. And we need the medication for people who have very serious obesity issues. I don't think we should start children on them. I think there are other things we could do to help them lower their hunger. Drinking a glass of water 15 minutes before a meal. Exercising more. Eating a piece of celery before you start eating your meal. I mean, there are a lot of things. Anytime you're hungry, eat a piece of celery or eat a carrot. That'll curb your hunger. Maybe we need to stop all these commercials with that. Give me that gooey ooey, gooey ooey. Oh, that I love that. What was it? Papa John's commercial. It's a great song, but we don't need our kids looking at melted cheese. Subway has that foot-long chocolate chip cookie. I mean, we are seeing commercials for food all the time. Maybe we need to limit that. Maybe that's increasing our obesity. Maybe we need to make groceries cheaper. Maybe we need to do something with inflation. And we really need to rethink how we're doing physical fitness in school. Physical fitness is not supposed to be a 2 or 3 day a week thing. Kids should learn how to hike. Kids should learn how to use gym equipment. Kids should learn how to do sports. Kids should learn how to exercise, do resistance training, work on cardio. There's lots of things kids should be doing right now in school to increase their physical fitness. In fact, kids should not be sitting in a class for 50 minutes. I recommended 20-minute classes, concrete in the morning, and then the afternoon is all the practical learning, where you're out and about and you're learning the trades, you're learning self-defense, you're learning how to bank, education, law, teaching, finance, welding, electricity, based on your age. School could be done so much differently. English class, rather than sitting and reciting Shakespeare, why aren't you guys walking outside? O Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? Deny thy father and refuse thy name, for thou wilt not but sworn my love, and I shall no longer be a Capulet. I had to memorize that in school. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's Medishare. Maybe you've heard switching to Medishare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for Medishare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. Medishare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
Hey guys, it's Dr. Daliah. Fantasy football season is coming, but sadly, too many of you are taking the bench while the country takes part in one of the most exciting and lucrative industries out there. Don't know how to play? Well, huddle up and listen. Paul Kalikas and I have written a fantasy football pocket guide for beginners. This book walks you through the basics and shows you how simple and lucrative joining or creating a fantasy football team can be. Read our fantasy football pocket guide for beginners found on Amazon, or follow the links on X and Facebook. That's Fantasy Football Pocket Guides for Beginners. Don't be left out.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to TotalWellness.com. Supplements made for physicians, only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So I'm sure many of you have seen the headlines where some people are suggesting that Kamala Harris be replaced with Hillary Clinton for the ticket. Yeah, I know. There's also been some headlines about a plot to replace Biden at the Democratic National Convention. So let's go with that first. All right. With some of Biden's video clips of him looking like he's frozen, Obama needing to help him off the stage at a fundraiser, there has been a lot of people concerned of Biden's freezing. Akinesia is what we would call that medically. Doesn't necessarily mean he's got Parkinson's, but sometimes we see that with Parkinson's or other neurological issues. Sometimes we could see it with mental health issues or cognitive issues. But sometimes it could just be he was staring at the crowd, smiling, and not wanting to move too much. But there has been this rumor that the Democratic Party may replace Biden. Now, I don't know if they would do that. That could be deadly for the Democratic Party because then that would prove the Republicans right. It would also mean that the Democrats don't feel that their current president and all the things he has done was successful or adequate for the country. And so the Republicans could seize on that. So the Democrats are damned if they do, damned if they don't. If they keep Biden, Trump's leading a lot of polls, and Biden is not looking that healthy. If they don't keep him, they can, in a way, be perceived as admitting failure. And so there has been some discussion that there might be a plot to, I guess, put somebody else instead of Biden. And I don't know. I don't think it's going to be Michelle Obama. I don't think it's going to be Gavin Newsom. It's kind of late in the campaign for that. And as I said, it could possibly hurt him. Now, according to one Democratic strategist who told Daily Mail, they said the only people who could really force Biden out would be Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, Nancy Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer. And the four of them would have to do so collectively. And, I think many people are wanting to see what happens with the primary debate between Biden and Trump. As a physician, I am nervous for Biden. I think he, at this point, is not fit to be commander-in-chief. I think he needs to be with his family. I think he needs to deal with whatever medically he's dealing with, not risk any more falls, not risk any more gaffes. He's had a long, decorated career in politics. I would hate for there to be that destroyed because he is staying out his stay, right? Exhausting to stay, if that's the word for it. And, people are accusing him of pooping in his pants. That's not the way to end a career. Now, I personally don't think he pooped in his pants, but people are concerned about some of his movements. Now, mind you, a lot of us do poop in our pants. We've talked about sharts. We've talked about during COVID, stomach bugs. Sometimes that could happen. You think you're just expelling gas, and instead something else comes out. It happens. But I am more worried about him being commander-in-chief and him making split-second decisions. There has been a lot of issues like with the Secret Service and the dogs and him not intervening with the dogs attacking the Secret Service. Anybody who owns a dog, if you're going to own a dog, by the way, if you go to adopt an animal, many of these shelters now do a home visit, or they want to watch you and your other home animals with their other animals. They want to make sure that they are letting that adoptive pet go to a safe home. And you need to show competency in an animal to make sure you can take care of the animal. If you can't even take care of your Secret Service, who is there to protect you, then you're not taking care of that animal. Also, you're probably not taking care of the Secret Service, who's there to protect you, that is getting bit by your dogs. What he had, commander and major. And I get it. Dogs want to protect their owner. To me, if a dog is attacking Secret Service, that dog is not happy. That dog does not feel at home. That dog might not be getting the love that they need. So that already means that dog probably needs to be in a better home or back in Delaware. But unfortunately, we had some Secret Service people attacked. Looks like there were multiple attacks by animals. And again, if Biden was, a very effective, dog owner, that would have been nipped in the butt immediately. Makes us nervous that he's commander-in-chief. And so, what if Biden refuses to step down? I had said my prediction was, and it could still happen. I'm not saying I want it to happen. I don't. But my prediction was that Biden would step down, but only by means of elevating Kamala Harris, saying, look, I'm not retiring to retire. I'm retiring to give you guys the first female president. So I am going to step down. She's going to be your president, and then she is going to run for office, and I'm giving you the first female leader. This is all on me. I'm the one that gets the credit, type of thing. Not saying that figuratively. And so I predicted that might happen because I didn't think medically he was going to make it 4 years. So that was my prediction 4 years ago. I know a lot of people didn't like that. Say, no, please, we don't want Kamala Harris. But I'm like, he's not going to leave saying, yeah, I don't have the mental capacity. He's not going to leave doing that. How would he leave? So he's either going to go for broke and still run for office. And people say he's too stubborn. He won't step down. I don't know. I don't think he has that capability. And I'm not saying that to make fun of him. He looks like he already is under the control of whoever's running him. When he says, I'm not allowed to speak to you, I'm not allowed to take questions, I'm going to get in trouble, what do they want me to do here? He's already saying that he is being told what to do. So it's whoever is telling him what to do is the person that needs the convincing, not him. He'll step down. If they say, look, retire, you get Secret Service pension, you're good, well done, I think I'll do it. Because it doesn't look like he's running everything else. Everybody's steering him towards where to look, where to point, where to smile, where to read the teleprompter, where to exit the stage. I don't think it's him. Maybe it's Jill, Dr. Jill Biden. Maybe it's, but, this thought that Kamala Harris should be replaced with Hillary Clinton, Hillary Clinton is not popular. I think there might be some other popular individuals. And again, I know they're going for women. I think Gavin Newsom is more popular among the Democrats than Kamala Harris. But when I saw that a columnist suggested that, I don't think that's the right way to go. Kamala Harris, and again, in her defense, no presidency that wants to have an open border is going to let her do, let's say she really did want to close the border. And, if you made me border czar, I would go down there that day and I would give Customs and Border Patrol anything they wanted. But you can't show up the president. I wouldn't be doing that to show up the president. I'd be doing it to do my job. So in her defense, there's a good chance that even if she did want to do something, the president wouldn't let her. She just has to make the president look good. That's why they made her border czar, because they knew she wouldn't be able to do anything. So using a 76-year-old, former first lady, senator to take her place, I think Hillary Clinton would maybe do more than Kamala Harris, but I just don't think that would be very effective at this point. So it's interesting to see what's happening, politics-wise. But I am worried about the president's health, and I hope he gets the help he needs. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Dr. Daliah here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.